to Jerusalem, back to Jerusalem.
Certainly the state of Israel is of primary concern to Jews throughout the world today. Beginning in the latter part of the 19th century, when Jews were expelled from Russia, from Poland, from most of Eastern Europe, the migration back to the Holy Land began once again in earnest. And then along came Hitler and the tragedy of the Holocaust. And part of that tragedy was that those Jews who might have escaped the Nazi tyranny had no place to go.
I think what happened is that as the modern West was taking shape through the Renaissance and later on, is that the problem of the Jewish community, of what to do with Jews, became built into Western culture and Western civilization. And they continued to be a problem all the way up into the 20th century.
You take the United States today, in some parts of the country, Jews were not allowed years ago. For the same reason that Nazi Germany killed 6 million Jews for no other reason that they were Jews. And we were hated in Russia just because we were a minority and we were Jewish people. And in 1918, they had pogroms on the Jewish people. He had bands that came into to our city and killed in one day 500 people, mainly looking for man. And that was in 1918. I was 13 years old already. So I can remember all these atrocities. The men were laying in the street, and then 2 days later they gave us permission to gather the dead up and bury them in the cemetery.
The Holocaust is certainly worse than any kind of persecution that ever went before, but it had a lot of continuities. The idea of segregation, the idea of ghettos, the idea of wearing special badges to indicate who Jews were, of restrictions on economic activity, all of that, none of that was unprecedented. All of that had roots earlier on in the Western world. So, I mean, the problem of the Jews in the West was built in, and it continued to shape events for hundreds and hundreds of years, really down to our own century.
Western churches now stood aghast over the realization that traditional anti-Semitism among Christians and anti-Semitic stereotypes created down the ages had contributed to an atmosphere in which a Holocaust was possible. Christian churches began condemning all forms of anti-Semitism, and a dialogue between Jews and Christians soon developed. In the past century, the concept of the return to Zion was transformed by the political Zionist movement, and it culminated in the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948.
It's historic. We didn't have a country until 1948. In 1948, we finally got our country back.
Where does Judaism stand today? Well, it is intensely pluralistic. Today, some 12 million Jews live in the world, about 6 million in the United States and 4 million in Israel. These two communities are the twin poles around which Jewish religious and cultural life now revolves. Early in the 20th century, a French Jewish writer, Edmond Flegg, had tenuous early ties with Judaism. Then, under the impact of French anti-Semitism, Flegg became a strongly committed Jew. He wrote a credo that beautifully expresses a modern Jewish outlook.
I'm a Jew because born of the Jewish people and having regained them, I wish them to live after me, more living than in myself. I am a Jew because the Jewish faith demands of me no abdication of mind. I am a Jew because the Jewish faith requires of me all the devotion of my heart. I am a Jew because in every place where suffering weeps, the Jew weeps. I am a Jew because every time when despair cries out, the Jew hopes. I am a Jew because the word of Judaism is the oldest and the newest. I am a Jew because the promise of Judaism is a universal promise. I am a Jew because for Jews the world is not yet completed. Men are completing it. I am a Jew because for Jews man is not created. Men are creating him. I am a Jew because above the nations and Israel, the Jew places man and his unity. I am a Jew because above man, image of the divine unity, Judaism places the divine unity and its divinity.